Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA Front Office Show. Lots of NBA news to get into. I'm Trevor Lane, joined by Keith Smith. Make sure if you haven't done so yet, you do subscribe right here to the Front Office Show on YouTube, and then turn on those notifications as well. Keith, I guess let's start here. The Wolves, finally. It's has it literally been years at this point? It feels like it has been. If it hasn't been, the Wolves sale finally going through.
Yeah, and this is, it's not the unexpected outcome, I guess.
Yeah.
The arbitration, when that process played out, they found in favor of Alex Rodriguez, Mark Lowry. That should really probably be the other way around, Mark Lowry and Alex Rodriguez,
Sure.
since Mark Lowry is putting up the vast bulk of the money. But they found in favor of that group, and Glenn Taylor could have appealed that decision and gone forward with further arbitration, but it sounds like he has decided, all right, I'm out. I'm done. We're going to move forward with this sale. Sale will go through. It was funny because you did have a handful of people like, whoa, the NBA has to approve it. It's like done. That's a done deal already. Like the NBA has already vetted this group, and that's going to get completed here pretty quickly. So that'll get done. And then from there, they immediately turned to Tim Connolly, if we remember, signed a 1-year extension. That was through this year, so he could leave at the end of this season. So we'll see what happens with that. If he stays, there were reports that, he wanted to keep his options open pending where the ownership went. My guess is that was also if they were like, well, we got to hold up on moves and we can't do this and that because we don't know who's going to own the team. And then they've got a fairly big offseason coming. They've got Naz Reid, Julius Randle have player options, maybe new contracts, Nikhil Alexander-Walker. They're obviously a second apron team. So there's a lot going on with the Wolves.
Let me ask you this, Keith. When we look at the Wolves, we look at this sale. Glenn Taylor having to go through the sale. The numbers came out. I don't have them in front of me, but he paid something like $31 million for the Wolves, and now he's getting billions.
Yeah,
like I know
pretty
this
good,
wasn't
right?
the outcome he wanted. He sold the team, and then he changed his mind effectively and said, "No, never mind. I don't want to sell it." I have a hard time feeling bad for him, like in this situation, like. Okay, maybe you changed your mind, you decide you didn't want to sell the team. But either way, either you were going to get to keep the team that's obviously extremely valuable, or you're going to get literally billions of dollars.
Yeah.
In either event, it's a good day to be Glenn Taylor.
Yeah, $94 million in 1994.
Okay, $94 million.
Nice symmetry there, right? Is what he bought the team for, and then 31 years later, selling the team for $1.5 billion. Pretty good to get out of his side of it.
1.5 billion?
That's what it says.
I was gonna say that can't be, because didn't the Celtics just go for 6?
Yeah, that's
I mean, I would expect the Celtics to go for more than the Wolves, but
maybe
that's
wrong.
too much.
Let's see. 1.5. Remember, he sold super low. Like that was like the shocking thing, right? Because he agreed to this before the Sun sale and all
Is it
that.
the ownership stake, but not a full percent? Like it's not 100% of the team, maybe?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. Yeah, that's probably what it is. He's probably getting 1.5. It's valued at some number higher than that, but that's per Sham. So if that number's off, but he did remember that was part of the thought process why he was like, well, wait, like if the Suns are selling for this much, and now then the Celtics came on board, like maybe I should have got more. And that was part of why people, at least on the Lowry Rodriguez side, were like, hey, dude, like you agreed. Like you can't change it up now because it's worth more. This isn't one of those deals from one of those stores where it's like, all right, if you can get a better deal elsewhere, bring it to us and we'll match. Like that's not how it works.
Yeah, he's really going to be hurting when he doesn't have that extra, couple $1 billion.
Well, it's a couple billion between buddies.
Right? There you go. There you go. All right, let's get here. No surprise, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the latest straw poll still has him as the leader for MVP. Keith, Jokic went insane last night, went for 60. Is this the right outcome in your opinion? Should SGA be the MVP?
Yeah, I feel like it's similar to the last couple of years where I'm like, I don't really have a problem with either guy. Like, I'm not going to get super passionate either way with this. I think SGA winning is fine. His team is, as we record this on Wednesday afternoon, 16 and a half games ahead of Jokic's team. That has to account for
Has to
something,
matter.
right? Like that has to be part of it. SGA, it's not like he doesn't have a wildly impressive statistical profile too. I get it though with those who are backing Jokic, where it's like, all right, he doesn't have the same help as SGA does, and like he has like just a ridiculously good statistical profile. So this doesn't really surprise me. I don't really have a huge issue with it. What I kind of don't like though is some of the talking points that are starting to come out where some of it is, well, if you give it to Jokic again, that puts him in like Bird, Magic,
Right.
Jordan, LeBron, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell territory. My thing would be, and like, why do we have this issue with we can't
We have to
really
protect.
bestow greatness upon somebody until they're done?
Yeah.
Like Jokic is incredible. If it turns out that when we get done, and I'm picking a number out of thin air without really thinking about it, he's the 6th or 7th best player of all time when his career ends. That wouldn't shock me. Like he's been absolutely incredible for the vast majority of his career. I think we have a real problem with people struggling to recognize, accept, and then applaud greatness in the moment. There's always this, we gotta wait. Like, I don't, did you see Shaq's comments on like, I would have dominated him. I would have given him, and it's like,
Mhm.
really? Like, you can't give him credit. Like, what are you doing? Like, let's like, come on, man. Like, you don't need to, that's not how we need to go. Like, and that's the kind of NBA analysis that's gotten stupid and ridiculous and is bad for the sport. But yeah,
This is
that
a
part of
constant. It's a constant problem with today's NBA right now. I talked about it a little bit on the basketball bulletin today, but we had something similar with Steph Curry, where Stephen A. Smith said like a veteran player told him Steph wouldn't score 17 points per game in their league. Like for one thing, I think we're not giving enough credit to today's NBA, and part of it is it's different than the way it used to be. If you watch a
Yep.
game from 20 years ago, it almost looks like a different sport the way it's played. And I think the guys back then are thinking, oh, I had to endure elbows and stuff like that. They're not thinking about how much damn off-ball running they would have to do to try to chase a Steph Curry or someone like that. But it's unfortunate that we continue to get these kind of comments sort of downgrading or downplaying the brilliance in today's game. And like you said, Shaq on Jokic and all of that. But going back to whether or not there should be whether or not Jokic should be in the running for MVP, or does this say too much historically? Every season is its own unique thing. Every
Correct.
season is its own thing. And so is he the best this season? That's all that matters. Not
Yep.
what does this mean in the grand scheme of history, because we're going to stack up, oh, this player got so many MVPs, therefore he's better than this player, whatever. We spend too much time on this stuff and it's nonsense. It doesn't matter. They're all great players, and every season is its own unique entity. Every season is that fresh draw of the cards, like at the blackjack table. The odds are going to shift. The odds are going to change based on the context of that individual season. Jamal McGlure was an all-star one year, right? Like,
Yeah.
stuff happens in the
Yep.
context of that individual season. And so we shouldn't be looking at things historically when the award is not how this player stacks up over the long haul. The award is who's the best player this season, period. Now, that said, I have no problem with SGA getting it this year.
Yeah.
Just don't think that what this means for Jokic's spot in history should not be a factor in whether or not he gets MVP.
And if anybody comes out and is like, well, you just get tired of voting for the same guy, that should be immediately you lose your ballot, because that's ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
if that's why MJ doesn't have more MVPs,
Sure.
because in
They
voters
finally gave it to Malone, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Malone and Barkley, and they've gone on the record with saying, like, yeah, it was just like, we all know Michael Jordan's the best player. We wanted to honor somebody else. Like, that's not really how the award is supposed to work. Like, it's supposed to be the best player that season. And again, no issue at all if somebody says, look, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has had an absolutely incredible season, and his team is awesome. And I get when people are like, oh, he has a lot of help. Yeah, but a lot of that help's missed a lot of time this year. Chet Holmgren missed half the season. Basically, Jalen Williams has missed a bunch of time. And you know what? They still keep destroying just about everybody they play. So if that's your reasoning, that's fine. Give your vote to SGA. If your reasoning is, I would put Jokic in a weird spot historically that I'm not comfortable with, that's, to me, that's not a good enough reason. Like, that's
No.
crazy. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't understand the desire to, it's like we have to anoint people very, very early, and then we spend the rest of the time trying to tear them down. And
Yeah.
it's like, why? Then can we just like talk about things? Sometimes it is okay to live in the moment. Like it is okay to be like, you know what's awesome right now? This guy or this team or whatever. And I don't know, it just gets a little weird for me.
We need to stop downplaying the present and detracting from it simply because it doesn't look like the past. And
Yeah.
that's what we
Yep.
do. That's
Yeah.
what we do.
100%.
All right. Let's go here. PJ Tucker. Speaking of the past, PJ Tucker hanging on, gets a 2-year deal with the Knicks. Keith, I will admit, I did not think we were going to see any more PJ Tucker in the NBA. I thought this was it. I thought he was done. Credit to him. Gets a 2-year deal with the Knicks. Now we'll see if he's actually on the Knicks next year. It's not a true 2-year deal. It's not like it's a guaranteed 2-year deal, but still good on him for getting this deal with New York.
Yeah, there is. We're waiting to find out. They called it a team option. Often a non-guaranteed year gets called a team option. There's differences, but not important enough to get into it today when we're a little pressed with time. But yeah, with PJ Tucker, I think the Knicks said it openly. Like, this is all about locker room presence. Like, he's somebody they like having around the team. And I saw some people say, why not TJ Warren? Like, he played great in the G League, in which TJ Warren apparently, as far as I was reading the other day, has left the G League Knicks to go somewhere else. So, or just like probably like I didn't get called up, so I'm done. They got knocked out of the G League playoffs last night. But yeah, so there were people like, just hire him as an assistant coach. And again, you don't have the same weight with other players when you're a coach that you do when you're another player. It's why Udonis Haslem was around forever. It's why a lot of guys, Markieff Morris on the Lakers right now. The Lakers could cut Markieff Morris and not even miss him for a second on the court the rest of the season, because he's probably not even going to play a meaningful second. But where they would miss him is he's somebody that is a locker room guy. He's somebody who can go and put an arm around somebody's shoulders. Probably one of the few guys on the roster that can go over to LeBron and be like, hey, here's, kind of where, here's what I'm seeing, man. This is why somebody's not reacting the way you want, or whatever it may be. And those are important guys to have. And why it's important as a player is they're the ones sitting together with you on the plane, on the bus, while the coaches all sit in the other part of the plane in the bus. And it works completely different. And it's kind of like when you have your coworker versus your boss, right? It's like, well, just make them a boss then. If there was like a salary cap on coworkers, and it's like, yeah, but when they're a coworker, like, they'll actually tell me stuff, like, versus when they're my boss, I can't sit with them at lunch anymore, and all the stuff that goes with that. So that's kind of why this happens. But the other piece too, now he's the $3.5 million trade chip potentially next year that the Knicks didn't have. And that's kind of important because that's a little bit more than a minimum salary. So that's something that they could put into a trade if they needed to next summer as they round out their roster.
Yeah, exactly. So that could certainly matter. In fact, here, let me throw up the cap sheet here so we can take a look at this. And I like that you guys already have up here that it's an estimate for this year, because we're still waiting on those numbers to come in.
Yep.
And then you've got the money on the books for next year that could potentially be a trade chip should they choose to use him that way this coming summer.
Yep. Yeah.
All right.
How that would work is if it's a true team option or it's a non-guarantee, you just guarantee it. Like that's you pick it up. And if you need to move 3.5 million in a trade, now you have it where you wouldn't have had it otherwise.
Exactly. Okay. The NBA is investigating Ja Morant and Buddy Hield. I did not see the Buddy Hield gesture, but Ja Morant made a gesture last night at the Warriors bench. It looked, well, let's face it looked like he was making a gun type gesture, which obviously there's a history there with Ja Morant. He dealt with the consequences of that last season. Kate, this is where the rumblings that we've been hearing all year about, well, maybe is Memphis really sold on Ja Morant being their guy long term? Is that really the way this is going to go? And Memphis pushes back, and Zach Kleiman did the other day, like, oh, no, we're keeping him, all that kind of stuff. This is the kind of stuff that's got to make Memphis think twice. You can't do stuff like this. You can't do stuff. And the NBA is now investigating, and who knows where this is going to go.
I will start out by saying this is probably making a lot about something very minor.
Sure.
But I will add, John Morant needs to be smarter than this.
Exactly.
When you have the history you have, you're going to get scrutinized differently. It's, that's just how it works. And in all facets of life, it's fair or unfair. That is how it goes. And I think, now was that like a, hey, knockout punch almost like kind of thing? Like, like I'm shooting you down. Like, I don't know, but like, it really is gets a little, like, you got to be smarter than that. Your history with the league with that exact subject matter. So if you're not going to be smarter than this, then if the league punishes you, that's on you. Now, I think I think the Grizzlies are frustrated with he hasn't been able to stay healthy. It's a myriad of injuries. I think the Grizzlies are starting to realize what a lot of teams in the past have done is small guards can be very hard to build around for a very long time because they just tend to get hurt. They tend to get beat up. We all love Allen Iverson, but the part of the reason we all love Allen Iverson was he's a small guard that lasted forever, right? And even though he's taken a massive beating on his body, and by the end of his career, he was no longer the AI, we once, knew and loved. Chris Paul stuck around in part because Chris Paul doesn't take that kind of punishment. John Morant does. And I think Memphis is kind of like, all right, maybe we need to look. I think there's major changes coming to the Grizzlies this summer because I think almost no matter where they fall seeding wise, I don't see anything really turning around in a meaningful way. And I think you're going to see them, all right, we're going to, not blow it up, but we're going to overhaul parts of this roster. And it wouldn't surprise me if John Morant is playing somewhere else.
It certainly could happen. And I'm not saying this needs to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Sure. It's not like they go, okay, up, that's it, we're done, and that's it. But it's the accumulation of all of the stuff that we're talking about. And it's not even just Jaws, issues off the court and that sort of stuff. It's also, is this really the piece we want to build around? Is this the idea for us moving forward? And then it becomes a question of where does he go? What is the market for John Morant this summer? And that's of course that can be a bigger talking point when we get into the offseason. But what happened in this game, that's not going to help anything. We do see guys do the 3 arrow celebration and stuff like that. It's specifically though doing it at your opponent's bench. That's I think the differentiator here. And then in addition to the history, and you saw it on the clip that I showed there. Draymond Green recognized it right away. It was pointing out to the referee, like, what ref, why are we allowing this? He's pointing at our bench and doing this. So, and again, I don't have
to be fair. Draymond's the first one on anything. He's like every bully ever who's like, hey, they're making fun of me. They picked on me, right? Like that's just how he works. But he caught it right away. He's like, hey, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah. And he's just, looking to get an edge in the game, but still it's it's add this to another thing and we'll see, because Memphis has now dropped to the 5 seed in the West.
Yep.
And what happens if John misses a game now? That this could be a big deal.
Real danger dropping into the play-in. Like they're that cushion that they had for a while there is completely gone. I did a little thread over on Blue Sky and on Twitter. It's the same both places, but it's same thread to be clear. Where I went through the top 10 teams in offense and defensive rating on the season, because that's generally, if you're a top 10 team in both, you are set up for a pretty good playoff run. Memphis, up until this one, had hung in there as top 10 offense, top 10 defense. They've now slipped out of being a top 10 defense, and they're no longer there. I don't know if you saw it. Which West team do you think replaced them? I'll give you the Thunder. They're obviously already in there.
Yeah, so top 10 in both?
Yep.
Let's see. Houston's top 10 in defense. Are they top 10 in offense? Their offensive rebounding has been so good. Maybe. My Lakers, I think, had too long where they weren't good defensively to be up there.
I don't think they were actually top 10 in either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've had a weird season where they were
Yeah.
terrible defensively, then good defensively. Now it's slipped back a little bit, and their offense has gone up and down a bit too. So they haven't been consistently good, and that's such a big
And
change.
part of it is in some of they've had a lot of close wins and blowout losses, which is
Yeah,
why their point differential is like just hovering above even.
it's not Denver because Denver's defense is awful. Is it Golden State?
It's Minnesota.
It's Minnesota.
Yeah,
Wow.
Minnesota is up to ninth in offense, and they are up to sixth in defense.
Huh.
So
Go
yeah,
figure.
and both
And
of
they
those are
got
up.
they
That kind
got
of fits when you think about like they've been playing pretty good basketball recently. So I
yeah.
mean, just I'm glad you pulled up the West standings. I mean, I think Houston's probably okay. Houston's not going to fall into the play, and they're 5 games up with like 7 between 6 and 8 games
Yeah,
to
they're
play.
fine.
So they're going to stay in the top. Maybe the Nuggets or Lakers still catch them for the 2 seed. But I mean, the Nuggets through the Clippers, just 3 games separating them in the loss column. It's really the Warriors through the Clippers 5 through 8. But man, and there's like I saw the Warriors schedule. They play, I think they play the Nuggets, Lakers, and
Hmm.
Timberwolves maybe coming up in a
They're
row.
all going to be playing each other. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's we've got here I can pull up their schedule here.
it's
So,
crazy.
and by the way, this is I already have the Memphis schedule pulled up. So let's say if John misses a game, it would be, I mean, a losable game. They've got Miami coming
Yeah.
up.
And that's one
That's
that you would count on winning.
yeah. But and then
Yep.
you've got Detroit, you've got a road trip here, so that could certainly matter if
Yeah,
there's some
those are
kind of a suspension.
toughish games. Yeah.
Yeah. And then when we look at the schedule here for Golden State, we've got Lakers, Denver, Houston.
Houston, that's who it was. I knew it was one of the teams that was up there in the top part. Yeah,
That's
that's crazy. And
yeah.
then it closes a little softer. Suns, Spurs, Trailblazers. So
And then have you
yeah.
seen Houston's schedule?
Yeah, it's pretty tough too, right?
Houston gets the Jazz tonight, but then OKC, Golden State,
Yeah.
Clippers, Lakers, Denver.
Now what you wonder is, all right, is OKC, what's that going to be?
Correct.
By the time you get to that Denver game, like, is that going to be a thing? I
Right.
mean, it might be with how hard those kind of middle games are there. All on the road, too. Little West Coast trip
Yep.
there, too. So, yeah, challenge for sure.
All right, let's go here. Dylan Harper and Liam McNeely enter the draft. Not unexpected, of course, but good to get official confirmation as teams
Yep.
are dropping out of the tournament.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what it is, Dylan. I mean, Dylan Harper's team, Rutgers, was nowhere close. I'd expect Ace Bailey's announcement to come any day now with that. And these were what you're getting right now is player X is entering the transfer portal and entering the draft as they keep their options open. A lot of guys do that. Harper and McNeely were straight entering the draft. And there's like 0.0001 chance either one of these guys goes back to college, and that's probably way too high. I'm probably too high by about 100.0s on there. But yeah, the Dylan Harper pretty much solidifying as the second pick on most draft boards as you go. Liam McNeely, a mid lottery pick for most, so it makes sense that these guys are coming out. And we're just waiting on a handful more. We still have quite a while to go till the deadline with this. Still have I think it's another few weeks on that.
All right, and then to finish things up, we've got our bracket challenge update. I don't have it in front of me, Keith. I don't have that account up.
Yeah, I'm not going to pull it up just because we're pressed for time. But we've got, I think, as best as I can tell, and there could be a couple more involved here, depending on which they picked on what side in the Final Four. We've got between 5 and let's say 6 people left alive. We've got a Duke bracket at the top. We Orange Power and a whole bunch of numbers. Then we've got Jared in a bunch of numbers, Auburn, Jason M in Florida, Will Power in Florida, high interest in Houston, and then Harrison Montague, who has Houston. So we've got all 4 teams in the Final Four, all represented. If you're not fully following, all the number 1 seeds made it to the Final Four. So so that part's it's not fun because there weren't any crazy Cinderella runs, but it's fun because we should get a really good Final Four and some really good basketball. So I'm excited for that, and we'll see. And then once we know who won, you're going to have to reach out to us and prove if you're interested in either we'll set you up, we'll figure out a day and time to get you on the show, to hang out with us. We'll talk about whatever basketball topics you want to talk about, as long as we keep it appropriate. And then we'll get into that. Or if you just want to, hey, can I get a couple priority questions in on a show? We'll do that too if you don't want to come on. But yeah, we're gonna have some fun. It's coming right down to it. It's kind of cool that we've got all 4 teams represented. So a lot of people still feel like they're alive.
They're in it. And right now, for Saturday's Final Four, we've got Duke is a 5-point favorite over Houston, and Florida is a 2.5-point favorite right now over Auburn. We'll see how that shifts over the course of the week.
That Florida-Auburn game was awesome earlier in the year. Really good game there. So hopefully we get a repeat of that one. And then Houston and Duke. I said this morning on a radio spot. That has the potential to be one of the ugliest rock fights we see all year. Houston is one of the best defensive teams in the country. Duke also plays pretty good defense. It's going to be cool to watch Cooper Flagg, Con Knipple, Tyrese Proctor, the Duke's main ball handlers, go against the Houston defense that's really tough on ball handling and shot creation and all that. So that should be really good. So yeah, it should be a fun night on Saturday. We get those two, and then one more, and then the NBA. They used to always take the national championship night off. They're not doing that this year. There is a couple games that night. Their early starts though on Monday, the 7th. It's Kings, Pistons, and Sixers Heat. They'll both be over by 10. And I think the national championship game starts around like 9. So not much overlap. And I think at least one of those was a reschedule when they had to kind of move the schedule around because of the fires in California. And then we had all the weather related issues that caused cancellation. So I think that's what happened with one of those. But yeah, it's we're getting down to it, man. We're getting down to it in the NBA too. Like we are. A week and a half to go in the regular season. Like
standings,
we're almost there into the playoff time.
Yep, here we are. It's crazy. On one hand, it feels like we got here fast. On the other hand, you look back and you're like, it's been a long season too.
Yeah.
So it's funny. But everybody,
then we get into the off season, which is our world. We'll get fully into that. We'll have a lot of fun, getting into everything with that. And it's usually when teams start getting eliminated is when we start getting more of the reports that we get super excited about from people on like, well, this team's now looking to move this guy, or they're open to doing this or whatever. That's going to be a lot of fun too.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, give us your thoughts in the comments section. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well as over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Go follow the NBA Front Office Show. Till next time, see ya and stay safe.